You know, in a former life, I was an EMT in the city, and there used to be what we call buffs, cop buffs, EMT buffs, and they would have scanners. They were guys who couldn't really get through the process, and they'd show up at catastrophic incidents or accident scenes or whatever. So, what is this Kyle Rittenhouse to you when you look at it? Remember, he was interviewed at one point in time. He said he was there to help with the medical. He's got his medical kit with him. He's in the cadet academy, or he's not. He poses to be an EMT. Was it that he was there for, or was he there with that AR-15 to cause carnage?
Well, that is the $1 million question, right? I mean, he didn't come with fellow cadets. Let's put it that way, right? I mean, if this was something that a group of the EMT cadets wanted to get together and do, help people medically, they might have organized that way. But instead, he went with a group of people who were bringing their AR-15s and were talking on social media about needing to protect these businesses against these, horrible lootings and riots. And he was a part of that group. So, now he, is trying to say he was there for medical reasons and all that kind of stuff. But really, who did he go with? Let's put it that way. To me, that shows up more his intent of what that night meant to him.
Mike, here's my thought on this. I mean, there's a big debate here as to what his intent was. Was he anti-protesters, or was he anti-looter? Whatever words you want to use. But there are 12 jurors that have to make a decision here, and they have to be unanimous in their verdict that self-defense has been disproven beyond a reasonable doubt. People have opinions. Do you think it's possible that there's a hung jury in this case potentially, because you get one juror that sits there and says, you know what, they were burning the city down. I'm one of those kind of guys. What was happening wasn't right, and so on and so forth. You get one person with that point of view, or does the lesser included offenses give that room for compromise?
I think it gives it room for compromise, and I think that's one of the reasons why the defense wanted it forward. And quite frankly, if you're a prosecutor, if you're really being fair, you should want all lesser included offenses, because it's not a competition where winner take all. It's to see that justice gets done and that the facts are applied to the law. I think, though, in this case, you're going to have people who are, listen, we're told to, as jurors, you're told to put aside any preconceived notion. But the irony is you're also told to rely upon your everyday experiences to apply the facts to the law. So I've never understood that quite frankly, very ironic type of instruction. So I think you bring a little bit of both with you as a juror.
Yeah. So I don't know if we're going to play a clip of Kyle Rittenhouse on cross-examination to see a little bit of how he did in that situation. So let's take a look at that.
When he's falling to the ground in front of you, he's no longer a threat to you. His pelvis is broken, right?
I don't know.
But he's fallen to the ground, isn't he?
I saw him lunging towards my gun, and I remember his hand on the barrel of my gun.
Because he was trying to push it out of the way so you wouldn't shoot him. What was the risk to you of death or great bodily harm at the moment you killed Joseph Rosenbaum?
If I would have let Mr. Rosenbaum take my firearm from me, he would have used it and killed me with it, and probably killed more people if I would have let him get my gun.
Mr. Rosenbaum never said anything to you about taking your gun, did he?
He didn't say anything, but he tried to take my gun.
And whoever's got that gun is a threat to everyone else?
If he would have taken my gun, he would have used it against me.
All right, Dina, I know, I think I know your position pretty much on the case based on some of the comments you made before, but, the defense having to call Kyle Rittenhouse, a lot of people have challenged that. I think they needed to call Kyle Rittenhouse. The jury needed to hear from him, and he did a pretty good job on the cross-examination. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. I think he did such a good job that it's an uphill battle on this point. So far, the prosecution's closing argument is good, but he did an excellent job. And just to kind of answer your earlier question about the hung jury issue. You know, it's interesting because this jury selection took 1 day, which is hugely unusual for a high-profile case like this. So I think we may be more likely to see a hung jury in this case than maybe we would in the others, because voir dire is supposed to root out people with preconceived ideas. And I don't think they did a good enough job rooting those people out. So you may have some people that are unwilling to be swayed by the evidence and more likely to have a hung jury here.
I think that is a great point. We're arguing about that in Jersey, where they want to eliminate peremptories. Mike, I got 10 seconds. What are your thoughts about what Dina just said?
I agree. I think the jury selection process needs to be very slow and methodical. I think a quick jury selection could lead to a disjointed type of jury.
Yeah, and just for purposes of the record with me, I have predicted that even though they're trying to save time in their minds by doing quick jury selections, to your both of your guys' points, what they're going to wind up getting is a lot of mistrials, problematic situations. It's going to cost more time in the end. We're going to take a quick break here on the Law and Crime Network. We'll be back with more. Stay with us.